Welcome into the Triple Option. Paul Catalina and Garrett Ross. Pierre Nugent, we are having technical difficulties connecting. I believe that Minnesota internet is slower.
There's something. Maybe it's the pine trees or something.
I think it's perpetually frozen. Like the lines in Minnesota are just covered in ice, even in non-icy times. I mean, it's just how it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still cold from being there 6 years ago.
See, I think I could do well with it. I think I would be better off in an environment like that than in Texas.
Garrett, I don't think you know what you're talking about here. This is like minus 12.
Yeah, but
I mean, like, you know what you're asking for. Like, it's
so
cold.
The freeze we had here was brutal, and it sucks I didn't have electricity for a few days. But like, if I had the actual clothing and stuff, I think I could do it. I really think
you can do it.
I really do.
I know that I can't. I'm willing to accept my weakness on that I'm incapable of dealing with it.
See, I would much rather deal with the cold than the hot. So I think I could.
See, I can tell you that many times during that 8 days I was there, 9 days, I walked down to like the front desk, like asked them a question. And then I'm like, how are you like, how is this not making your brain melt that it is this cold and you can't just like go outside? You can't just stand outside.
That's fine.
You can't go take a walk. You can't be outside at all. You have to be in here. I mean,
there's ways to do it, man. Like if you're telling me I could get like on a snowmobile or something,
it's just, I don't know. Like Alexis Cubitt was working up there then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she covers the Louisville now. And so on the weekend, she and I met and had lunch, and she came and picked me up. We went downtown because she wanted to see the Super Bowl experience, which, as you know, is outside. And they had heaters and everything, and it was like a lot of traffic, but it was like -6. And I remember thinking, like, why are you okay? Like, I see these little kids bundled up.
Yeah.
You know, like Randy and a Krista story. Like, I can't put my arms down. And like, what? I can't live like
this.
Dude,
like find a pickup hockey game and jump it. Man, yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. I can't do it. I'm going to start out the show today, though, Garrett, with something else.
Okay.
Because I need to cleanse my college football palate because, as you know, I've been in a very bitter mood the last 2 weeks, and I will continue to be in some version of that mood until things turn around or the season ends. That's the only way that I can deal with this.
Correct.
And as a person who, look, I'm not your normal fan who just shouts into the void and people can't find what I'm saying. Like, I'm in a podcast every day. You could, if you were interested in like maybe some insightful looks into your program, you could have listened. You know, and I don't know. I feel like I would be a good advice giver to coaches. Where like, oh man, well, Cam Ward says he's going to enter the NFL draft, but we don't know. I'd be like, why don't we just wait? Like, oh, but we could DJU right now. Yeah, where else is DJU talking to? Like,
right.
Let's just wait. Like, is he going anywhere? No. Let's be patient. If Cam says yes, then we take Cam. If he goes to Miami, he goes to Miami. And that's what it is. But we were patient. And like, well, what do we do? We're like, well, let's call some of these other guys. Let's see about them before we just drill down into two. But I digress. So I'm going to read some news to you that's very funny, that has nothing to do with college football, and I'm going to cleanse my palate, and then we're going to dive into the week 2 of it all and go through it. So in Kentucky, police are searching for a man, and thanks to Ride the News, which is on Instagram, and I suggest people follow it because they just report news. Like, here's the thing, here's the story. There's no
context to skew you.
It's just like, here's
facts.
What's happening. Just the facts. Kentucky police are searching for a man who has defecated on the same porch at least 4 times over the past week for no apparent reason. The homeowner first noticed something amiss last Tuesday. I went out on my front porch that morning and noticed that there was what I thought was cat poop. After cleaning it up, he checked his doorbell camera and realized it was a man, not a cat. And there's a picture, by the way. I
So
wish
it's
I
gotta
could
be
send
small
this to you.
turds, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean,
Like if you're
maybe
thinking
he's
it's cat poop,
dehydrated.
yeah, okay.
The homeowner has no idea who the man is or why he is targeting the porch.
That's
And so this guy, look, I'll tell you, we can't see it. He is looking up at the camera. Like there's a picture
so it's
here.
personal, yeah.
Like he is looking up at the camera, so he knows there's a camera there. But the guy doesn't know. So I'm wondering, do you think that the porch pooper has the wrong house that he has a beef with?
It's either the wrong house or it's something related to maybe the dude's wife or something like the guy cut him off and he's like one of these psychopaths that hunts him down. And
I mean,
like that's some next level.
Look, I'm
stuff.
assuming that this guy lives close.
You would have to.
Because, and here's why. Well, first of all, he's going in there, like he's just going and then having to like,
You're just like scooping and rolling. You're not giving your wipe time or your Japanese bidets.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So we're not like you're asking for diaper rash. Bottom line, this guy is. So now, granted, I know he's low to the ground, so there's probably a little less of that. But I'm looking at this picture and he's wearing socks, so that leads me to believe that he is close. And just whenever the mood strikes him, he runs over.
I wonder,
does that.
Maybe this is a guy who's homeless and this dude like
no, he's definitely not. He's
no?
definitely not homeless.
Not homeless. Okay.
No.
The dude, I don't know, man. That's some.
He's like wearing basketball shorts and t-shirt and socks. Like,
I don't know what would drive you to do that. But it definitely seems personal.
Yeah. No, I know. It's just such a weird thing that you would do that and then you risk jail for it. And then you go to jail and like, oh, why'd you? Oh, I was taking dumps on my neighbor's porch. It's a really stupid thing to commit a crime. We had, and I remember this because we're always going to remember this, but we're at the radio station. We had a guy that cut our power.
Oh yeah. Not just cut the power. He went
like, he didn't just like go outside and like hit the breaker box.
No,
he literally, while it was on, cut it.
Yes.
Like used a tool and cut it, probably to great peril to himself.
Well, he was doing that at multiple other places.
He was doing it at multiple other places, like a bank.
Yeah.
So my theory was always like, okay, he's really after the bank, but he needs to go to all the places around it.
Okay.
And cut their power to make it look like it's not the bank. Because we had nothing of value for anyone.
No.
And
you had like Sonic next door. Were we going to get
Sonic? Yeah, no. Like, Sonic was closed for longer than we were. Because they had to like clean out their like food. Like they had like a whole like 36 hours of just like, I remember sitting out there watching them like, well, this is done. This is done. Mm-hmm. This is done. Take this over to the other one. Like, and doing that. So but yeah, this guy cut the power. He was on the roof. He went up to the roof and he cut the power and then jumped down almost on top of Q's car.
He almost ran over Q.
And then almost ran over Q. So yeah, it was very, I was in Oxnard when this was happening. And like, I got the call, like, you guys aren't going to believe what's happened. Like, you're not going to believe I was alone. And like, we don't know if you're going to be on the air today. Like
it was a sketchy situation.
Yeah. And then I think by the time that our show went on the air, they got the generator out there and got it up. And then that was, I don't know how long the generator was outside because I was gone the whole week. Like when I came back, it had already been fixed. But I remember thinking about that guy, like, okay, this is when you cut power, when you cut someone's power, and when you cut the power of a bank, this is a federal offense. Like it's not a state, it's a federal offense. Mm-hmm. Like the FBI eventually was going to take this case and investigate this guy once he got arrested. That was going to happen. Like, why are you cutting this power? And so this guy's going to go to federal prison, mm-hmm. Not a place that you would be like, hey, where would you like to go today? Like, oh, I think I'd like to go to Leavenworth. Would you like to hang out? Like, let's just go to Leavenworth mm-hmm. and then play the game. Like, let's not get stabbed or raped. Like that would be the game. Like, that's the thing. So like, you're going to go to Leavenworth, like you're going to risk this. And obviously this guy's not well, but like, so that we don't have electricity. All right.
I'll never understand the true motive behind that one.
No,
that
was weird. It was weird. And if you're just joining us, this is my palate cleanser for college football before I get back into it, because I found that in the last 48 hours, I've become a very bitter man.
A little bit, rightfully so.
Look, I'd rather have the season go awry at the end than at the beginning, because at the beginning, now I've lost all hope.
Tell me about it. I'm right there with you.
So Garrett and I are trying to do some news that's not related to college football, and maybe commiserate with these people and solve these things. And one is the disgusting story about a porch pooper. And the other one, you'll like this one, Garrett, when we get to it.
Okay. But
I'm still wondering, like, what did this guy? I'm very curious. I can't wait for them to follow up the story. Like, the porch pooper has been captured.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the stinky bandit. You know, and I don't understand, like, what would drive you to do that.
Like, nobody's ever made you mad enough to want to poop on their porch?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, here's the other thing I'm thinking. So if it's back, like, maybe he's got a problem with, like, the backyard. So
I mean, like, you don't want to go back there like he's there?
No, like there's there's a light in the backyard,
okay.
or there's something in the backyard that bothers him, but he doesn't realize, like, when you go a street over and you have to count houses, like, if you're not familiar with which house it is.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like, in my neighborhood, I'm fortunate because the guy on the other side, he has the same street number as me. He just has a different street. So our address numbers are the same.
Right.
So whenever I've had to go there and talk to him, and he's deaf without hearing aids, and he's a young man without hearing aids. So this is how I have to talk to him. Like, hey, Mike, your dog is in the yard.
So it's like dealing with Smokey.
Yeah. Like, but he's even deafer. Like, you want to come over and get him? I mean, he's okay. He just got through the fence. Like, that's how I have to talk to the guy. But I know he's a nice, like, we don't have conflict. We have a bit of a, I would have, it's not going to happen now, but like when I moved in, our fence line that we share is on his property by like 2 feet, but it's still the fence line that we share. And so I said, hey, I'd be willing to, like, go in with you to, like, get this fixed, because it's, like, falling apart. And he's like, yeah, go ahead and get me some estimates. And I'm like, no. It's your fence. Like, you get estimates and bring them to me, and then we will discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to do the work here. Like,
right.
It's your fence. Like, when you sell the house, like, you're going to get the money for that part of the fence. Like, not me. I don't know. So that's the only conflict we've had. But sometimes you can go and be like, okay, well, this is the house behind me or something like that. And then you ring the doorbell and, like, hey, I think your dog's in my yard. And they're like, we don't have a dog. And I'm like, are you right here behind me? Like, no. And you look, you're like, oh no, that's the neighbor's house.
Right.
So then you got to go one direction or the other, because you haven't figured it out. The streets aren't even. So maybe that's what it is. Like, maybe maybe it's the neighbor who's doing something to him, and he's just going and pooping on this guy's porch. I don't know.
I mean, that's still, man, that's just the next level. I really don't know how to follow that one.
Yeah. Barry Crawford says, I can make Paul mad enough to want to poop on my porch.
Probably could.
Yeah. Xavier Wolf, the triple option, really giving us the important stories. Again, I need a palate cleanser. So here's something that should bring joy to everybody. A Michigan man chugs 24 ounces of ranch dressing in 10 seconds to win a restaurant's inaugural chugging competition. The event, held over the weekend, was limited to 12 participants, with more on a waiting list. All right, what would make you chug 24 ounces, which is basically, it's like a beer mug, of ranch dressing? What kind of prize do you think you would be in for after 24 ounces of ranch dressing?
So if this was for the restaurant, I better be able to get my favorite meal free for at least half a year to a year. Outside of that, give me like a free gas card for a year or something.
Okay. Yes.
Check says straight up 200.
The winner received a $100 gift card and a free weekly order of all-you-can-eat wings until spring 2025.
I could make that deal. I could compromise for that.
Yeah.
Now, if it was blue cheese dressing, hell no, I'm not touching that. I don't want no part of that.
Oh, I love blue
I'm
cheese.
not touching blue cheese.
Oh, I love blue cheese.
Blue,
Emery
you also
blue
in here
cheese? No.
eating cottage cheese and stuff.
You guys are children. I like them both, but
I
yes.
like ranch. I'm not messing with blue cheese.
Okay.
Though.
When asked how he drank so much ranch so quickly, he said, I've seen people pour about that much on their salads. So what's the difference?
It's fair.
It's fair, but like, you don't eat a salad in 10 seconds. Like, you may have that much. You may do half a bottle of, of ranch. Oh, man. But yes, 24 ounces of ranch in 10 seconds.
I might be able to do that.
12 participants with more on there are people who stood outside of this restaurant going, oh, crap.
Well, then their food must be
I'm
awesome.
on the waiting list.
Their wings must be like legit. If you got that many people just lining up.
Yeah, for all you can eat wings.
Hell yeah.
Until the spring, weekly. Yeah, exactly.
You go in like on a Saturday or Sunday and just post up all day and get free wings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, this guy's going to be more popular than Kid Rock in Michigan. Holy cow.
That should
like
be
people
hard.
are going to be like, hey, you going with Tony? We're going to get wings. And then I wonder if he's eligible again next year when they do it. How do they expand it? How do they have more people?
I mean, I think he needs to be until you can dethrone the king. Then if he gets like on a run or something, then you might be like, bro, you need to.
Yeah.
Like
you wind up being the Joey Chestnut of ranch.
Then you found your weird little niche. Go
Yeah.
start your own little channel or something.
And like, I'm looking at this guy, and I should have sent you this, but I just came up with the idea after we had to like
on the
punt on Pierre today. He looks like a dude who, like, this is not the first time he's done something like this where like his buddies are like, bet you won't drink all this. And
I mean, I've done that. I've drank a whole like 16-ounce cup of hot sauce from a restaurant on a bet before.
Oh,
it didn't end well.
No, especially not for you. I wouldn't think.
It was. It did not end well. But I mean, I've
did you win the bet at least?
Oh hell yeah!
How much money for that bet?
It wasn't very much. Dude, we were dirt poor. Like it was like $10. We're in high school. Stupid. Exactly. I mean, I've been known to do some stupid stuff. Real honest.
I had a friend in high school that ate an entire X-Lax chocolate bar. Like, they have the chocolate bars, and you're supposed to just break off a piece of it. And we went around the cafeteria and had a collection, and most of it was loose change, but it came out to like $19.24. And for $19.24, he ate that whole chocolate bar. He had the last lunch. We had the last lunch period, and then it was spring football. But we were through workouts. Like we were through the actual like. What they would do with us was we would have like our practices and our jamboree, which is like you play a half against somebody, and then the last 5 days were just conditioning. So they would you weren't hitting, you were just doing conditioning. And that day was like the third or fourth to last day. Like we had one more day after that, which is all going to be weights.
Right.
And so this day was, if everybody ran 10 gassers, end line to end line, 10 of them. Like as soon as you got done with your 10, you got to leave. Now this guy became a hurdler at Florida. He was a very good track guy, very, very, really good football player too. But it was, we went to Catholic school. I can tell you, whoever the patron saint of continence was on his side. But you could see like one gasser, and he was a wide receiver. I was a lineman, so we weren't running the same group. But like one gasser, okay, it's not looking good. 5 gassers, like, oh, I think he's going to die. The 10th gasser, so the bathroom in the end zone, like, was on this, like, coming back. And so he ran down. He didn't even stop.
Just Bo Jackson did.
Usually you like on a gasser, you go down, you stop for a second, you turn around, and then you go, right? And so you give yourself like 5-10 seconds of like, okay, let me catch my breath and reposition myself. He didn't even stop. He turned around at the end line, like made like a pivot and just darted straight back to the bathroom. And then 46 minutes later emerged.
Good night.
Asking for a Powerade, going, guys, can I have some of that Powerade? I'm so dehydrated. I'm so dehydrated. And I was like, well, I mean, and again, for us, like everyone stayed for 40
Right,
just the whole
see the
time
outcome,
waiting.
right?
People would go in and be like, no, no, go, no, go, no, go. Yeah. But for $19.
I mean,
And then,
man, it happens.
so then eventually our coach comes over and goes, hey, what the hell's going on? And so we're like, okay, well, here's the deal. And he's like, how much money it was? They were like $19. And the coach is like, $19? Are you kidding me? Yeah, it was but $100 in all you can eat wings. I would take that risk.
I would take that.
$10 for eating. What kind of hot sauce was it?
It was from El Taquito and McGregor, which is, we'll ask Simi tomorrow. It is hot.
Okay.
It is hot.
Okay. So like salsa or like taco
Salsa,
sauce?
like salsa.
Oh man.
It's hot. Yeah.
How much of it?
It was a whole 8-ounce little cup.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
Dear God. All right. Let's talk about week 2.
Okay.
I feel significantly, refreshed.
Cleansed. Yes.
Like my friend with the X-Lax bar, I'm unconstipated and ready to go. This is a really good week for games. And I think there's a couple that are flying, a little bit under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Texas and Michigan is going to take the whole thing.
Correct.
I think Texas is going to smoke Michigan.
They should. Michigan should not be able to score with them. They don't have the playmakers that Texas does. No.
By the way, little side note on Texas right now. Quinn Ewers is in the Dr. Pepper commercials this year. The first one he's been in was very funny, where they're calling for backup, and it's really him making fun of Arch Manning.
Mm-hmm.
But he says in the commercial, I made it to the playoff last year with no backup, and that is untrue.
I did not catch that part. I didn't think about it bigger picture until you said that yesterday, and you are 1,000% correct.
He absolutely made it to the playoff because of the backup. Malik Murphy played against Houston. He played, he had a whole start that he had, so yeah. I mean, I know he's at Duke now, but it doesn't mean he's he didn't vanished.
Yeah, he's not gone. Yeah,
he's not gone. He's just at a different school.
No, I never even put 2 and 2 together with that. I just thought it was funny. It's well played and well executed commercials. And I thought that it kind of tells you a little bit about Arch, being cool with having the joke cracked on him and not, caring at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you do a deep dive, there's some,
listen,
that's
there's some Malik Murphy slander going on, and I'm not here for it. I think you should appreciate Malik Murphy.
Yes.
I think Longhorn fans owe him a debt because he could have gone out there and been awful, and then they're not in the playoff.
Could have. I thought he could have been better. I honestly thought he would be better, but still, he did what he needed to do to get them some dubs.
I mean, look, there's a world that exists where he plays like a backup quarterback terribly, and then Florida State's in the playoff no matter what. So it makes me bitter when anybody who got in the playoff last year claims that there were no other factors.
Well, you better. Is Duke on your schedule?
Yeah, there.
Okay, he might get you again.
Yeah. Duke's never beaten Florida State, so that's my hope. But
okay, you're telling yourself that.
Yeah. I mean, right now, no one's afraid of the quarterback. So absolutely no one is afraid of the quarterback, which is what's going to happen with Michigan and Texas, because I don't think they're going to be afraid of the quarterback. No. They're not going to be worried about it. They're going to pin their ears back and go. They're going to stack the box. RJ Young on earlier this week, Donovan Edwards has to,
step up.
And that's going to be tough. Even against the Texas defense they pitched a shutout last week, but I don't think it should be indicative of, how they are, but yet. But I think they'll be able to pin their ears back on this Michigan offense and not really worry about much.
Yeah, they don't have the playmakers that they had even slightly last year. And and when you look at it, all you have to do is load the box against Edwards, because they have no threat other than that. Yeah, this one, I would have liked to seen this maybe last year's team go up against it. I guess we did, but that would have been funner. But this should be a blowout.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that it's a bummer that this game again didn't happen a year ago. But que sera, sera. Another interesting game this week is Arkansas at Oklahoma State.
Mhm.
I think Oklahoma State will probably handle them,
They
but
should.
if Talon Green, can have the kind of impact athletically on the game that I think he's going to have, it's going to be tougher than maybe people expect, because it was just Arkansas Pine Bluff last week, but he's going to cause some problems for a lot of people because he's super, super athletic.
He is, but I also think like Oklahoma State has the perfect what their bread and butter is the perfect counter to Arkansas, where you could just run the ball, control the clock, and not let Talon Green get out there as many times and give him less opportunities. And then you could rely on your elder statesmen, because their whole team, their offensive line's old, their defense is old. I think they could be able to control the clock in that game. Talon Green's going to make some plays. Like, he's going to bust off a couple of big plays just because he's that athletic. But at the end of the day, I think the style of that Oklahoma State plays and the experience they have can help them win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially with Ollie Gordon.
Yeah.
I don't think Arkansas's defense should scare a lot of people.
No.
So I think that's going to be a big one. Kansas State and Tulane. Kansas State's lost to them before, and so that's going to be tough. I think that they'll win, but again, I picked them to win this thing because I think by the end of the year, Avery Johnson's going to really come into his own. But again, upset alert here. A little bit.
No, it's got to be. And I also think this is one of those games where Avery Johnson goes back and kind of looks at the tape from the first game and makes a jump within his passing attack. I think he makes that step forward this week as well. His athleticism, though, against Tulane's defense should be the X factor in that game. Tulane's going to be good. They're going to make it competitive. John Summerall's a hell of a coach. But when you just don't have like the key playmakers like a Pratt at your quarterback and stuff that you had when you beat them, and I think that ultimately what it's going to come down to is just the depth of Kansas State in this matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. When both running backs contributed last week, that's going to be an interesting rushing attack. I'm going to save a couple for the top five so I don't repeat myself today. But one I'm not talking about in the top five later on today is the Cy-Hawk Trophy. Iowa State has the toughest time winning this game. And there are years where you look at that team and you're like, they are definitely better than Iowa.
Correct.
Everything about them is better. And then they still don't do it. So I'm going to go to Winsipedia here and get the stats on it. I really like Iowa State compared to Iowa this year. Given, Iowa State's offense could be really good, and all of that. And it is all time 47-23. Iowa won last year. Iowa State won 2 years ago, but Iowa State last won in 2022. Before that, they last won in 2014. They've had a 2-game win streak in 11-12. The Iowa State through the late 90s and early 2000s was on their only real streak. And then for the most of it, it's mostly Iowa.
Yeah, I can't pick Iowa State in this game. I think this is going to look ultimately very similar to how Penn State pushed around West Virginia last week. I think the size difference and the depth in the trenches is what's going to give Iowa. Plus, it's at home. Now, the interesting thing is going to be with Kirk Ferentz back. Does it look like it did last week? And I think it will. Does
he actively try to stop it?
But I think you don't. Honestly, you saw what worked last week. You just kind of come in and hopefully build off of that. And kind of just stay out of the way and be the CEO of the situation. But I don't see Iowa State being able to beat Iowa. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think Iowa State's a good team.
They're good, but I mean, this is always a bad matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think, I'm leaning towards Iowa. I want to part of me wants to pick Iowa State, but I'm leaning towards Iowa in this one. We're going to take a break in a second. An interesting one for me, South Carolina and Kentucky in that early SEC matchup for them. Brock Vandegrift there at Kentucky. Let's see how good Kentucky's going to be. What Shane Beamer got going on there at South Carolina. Not a ranked matchup, but just an interesting one to me in are these teams going to be good enough to maybe knock somebody off at the top of this league? I would say that Kentucky and South Carolina, with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma, and this is going to 16 teams, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vanderbilt are the three teams that are going to take it on the chin the most because they're the three teams that are Mississippi State. Maybe those are the four teams that are classically the furthest away from winning the league.
I don't trust Shane Beamer in South Carolina. I mean, they have flashes, but they never really scare anybody. And right now, I think what Mark Stoops has been able to do, he's instilled like this blue collar chip on the shoulder mentality at Kentucky, where you know that more than likely, if you're an opponent facing them, you're going to have the advantage, like from the skill positions, but just the grittiness. They're going to play smash mouth football and try to physically dominate you. And I think that over the finesse of South Carolina, I think Kentucky gets it done.
Yeah. I think Kentucky wins this game. I'm just curious to see if South Carolina can sustain anything.
But they didn't look that good last week. South Carolina did not.
No, they did not. Got a couple more games I want to talk about next, Garrett. And what I think is the sneaky game of the week. It's going to get less attention, and it involves a team in the SEC, and I can't believe that it's getting less attention, except for the fact of the game that it's up against at the exact same time is Colorado, Nebraska. So a battle of two unranked teams is overshadowing the battle of ranked teams that, I think is getting lost in the shuffle. That could be a really, really good game.